And we're live.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Do you want to do a roll call, Veronica?
Yes. Today's a full membership meeting, so I'll be going through the full list. Everybody, please be prepared to unmute yourselves if you haven't already. When I call your name, please indicate somehow that you are in attendance. QB Anthony. Luz Martinez. Roseanne Ibarra. Is Roseanne on? I don't see her. Lisa Judd.
Here.
Thank you. Jacqueline Williams. I'm not seeing her yet. Sarah Martin.
Here.
Grace Peeler.
Here.
Paul Davis. I know you're here, Paul, but you're muted. And I can't see you, so I can't confirm that you're actually there. Paul? I'll come back to you. Let me know when you can. Xenia.
Here.
Karen Lovato.
Here.
Blythe Post. Or Brady Nord.
Here, Blythe Post is here.
Thanks. Ian Archer. Not seeing Amanda. Judy Albert.
Yes, here.
Hi.
Hi.
Camille Schrader or Sage Wolf.
Here.
Dan McIntyre.
Here.
Noble Wadelick.
Here,
Did I get it right?
good enough.
Rachel McDavid. Sandra Stolfi.
Here.
Sarah McCormick. Or anyone from City of Fort Bragg. Elizabeth Elliott.
Here.
Jonathan Plank. Michelle Shaw. Denise Gorney. Brian, just so you know, you're unmuted. John Del Castillo. And Donald Damp. We do not have a quorum of the full membership. We have a quorum of the board with 11 of 10, but we only have 12 of the 14 for full membership. Shannon Riley just came into the waiting room, but City of Ukiah is already represented through the City of the Ukiah Police Department. We don't have a quorum. I don't know what to do.
So I think, Veronica, we can carry on with our business. We just won't be able to approve the things that required the full membership, which would be the governance charter.
Okay.
Anything else we can carry on with? We do have a quorum of the board.
Yes, we do. I'm going to make some texts and see if I can get a couple people on.
Okay. Dan, how do you want to proceed?
We'll just go with the regular board meeting. If more people show up, then we'll do the general membership stuff. If not, we just can't do it until next month.
And we do have a quorum of the board, if I'm right. 1, 2,
Yes.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay.
Is there any public comment, Veronica?
I know received no advance requests to make public comment, but somebody from this that's in attendance may have it.
Any public comment from anybody in attendance today? Not seeing none. We're going to move on to approval of the January 25th meeting minutes of this year.
I vote to approve the minutes.
Is there a second for Judy's motion?
I will second.
Is there any additions or corrections or comments on those minutes? Hearing and seeing none, roll call, Veronica. You're muted.
When I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain to approving the January 25th minutes. Lisa,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Grace.
Yes.
Paul, are you here?
I see. Paul.
Whoops, I am, yes.
I called you earlier. You weren't, and we didn't get a response. So I'm marking you in attendance and yes, no, or abstain.
Yes.
Thank you. Xenia,
Abstain.
Karen. Oh, wait, Karen's here.
I'm also going to abstain because I was not at that meeting.
Blythe,
So I did send Brady as my proxy, so I think I should abstain as well.
okay. Judy,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
thank you. Dan,
Yes.
Noble,
Yes.
and Sandra.
Yes.
Motion passed.
So we're going to move on to the next meeting, which was February 22nd, 2021. Need a motion to approve those minutes as
I vote to approve the February 22nd, 2021 minutes.
second. Is there a second for Sarah's motion?
I will second.
Sandra, okay. Is there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing and seeing none, roll call, Veronica.
One moment. Okay. There we go. Now I can see it. Okay. Yes, no, or abstain when I call your name. Lisa,
Abstain.
Sarah,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Xenia,
Abstain.
Karen,
Yes.
Blythe,
Abstain.
Judy,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Noble,
Yes.
Sandra,
Yes.
motion passed.
Okay. So we're going to go on to reports and presentations. Elizabeth, it's your presentation now. So I don't know if Veronica, if you're helping her present it or if Elizabeth's presenting it.
I am going to help with the presentation. Elizabeth Elliott is the Executive Director of Northern Circle Indian Housing Authority. She and I were talking about a new program that they got over there, and I thought it would be good to have you guys learn a bit more. So I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to let Elizabeth introduce a little bit more of the topic and their presenter, Mariah, today.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are really excited to present our Department of Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Without further ado, Mariah McGill, who is our Construction Development Specialist, took the absolute lead on this program, and it's her baby. In my leadership, I believe in letting the staff shine, not taking credit for their work. So I will give Mariah the floor if we can have her slides pulled up, and I will join in accordingly.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I'm Mariah McGill. I work as the Housing Development Construction Manager at Northern Circle. I just want to thank the county for giving us an opportunity to talk a little bit about our program. And Elizabeth Elliott is here, our Executive Director. And if you have any questions, please feel free to speak up anytime throughout our presentation. And if the slides are up.
Veronica, we can't see the slides.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we're here today to talk a little bit about our emergency rental assistance program. Again, I'm Ryan McGill, and with me today is Elizabeth Elliott, our Executive Director. Next slide. So for those of you who do not know who we are, we're Northern Circle Indian Housing Authority. We serve as a tribally designated housing entity. Our job at Northern Circle is to administer and monitor housing-related programs. Our consortium consists of 7 federally recognized tribes. We have 5 in Mendocino County and 2 in Butte County. And our motto is hope, healing, and housing. Next slide. So here's a little bit of background on the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. This project's being supported in whole or in part by the federal award to Northern Circle by the U.S. Department of Treasury. For those of you who are not familiar with the program, the funds are provided to states, U.S. territories, local governments, Indian tribes, and TDHEs like Northern Circle. Tribes received approximately 121% of their fiscal year 2020 Indian Housing Block Grant formula allocations. Some of you might be thinking, "Oh my God, I don't know what that means." We have a source of funding called the Indian Housing Block Grants, and the formula is created by the Office of Native American Programs through HUD, and the idea is to use this formula to allocate equitably and fairly to tribes, and the funds are called NAHASDA, and the programs that we deal with through NAHASDA are the Indian Housing Block Grant funds. So of our annual allocations from 2020, what they did is reviewed that, gave us 121% to execute these programs. Of our 7 tribes, Northern Circle applied on behalf of 6, and we received a total of about $5.3 million to serve eligible tribal members through ERAP program. Next slide. Sorry, before I get too far, if anyone's interested in learning a little bit more about how we get our annual allocations, you can visit the Native American Housing Assistance and Self-Determination Act final rule, and that's at 24 CFR Part 1000, and it goes from 300.301 to 342. So our emergency rental assistance guidelines, what we do is an eligible household is determined as a renter household in which at least 1 or more individuals meet the following qualifications. They must qualify for unemployment or experience a reduction in household income. They had to have gotten significant costs as a result of COVID-19 or a financial hardship. So some of the things that we're looking at is households in which, for example, households in which the individuals have lost employment due to COVID-19. So if they're working in the restaurant business and the restaurant unfortunately closed down and now they're working from home, they're potentially receiving unemployment, or even households in which a parent had to quit their employment so that they can stay home with their children and help do distance learning. So those individuals would qualify under the unemployment or experience of financial hardship. The other thing that they could be eligible under is if they demonstrate a risk of experiencing homelessness or housing instability. So with this program, we're looking at households that say are back on their rent 3 months. And because of the moratorium on evictions, they haven't been evicted yet. Once COVID ends, the Department of Treasury's fear is that we'll have a huge surplus of individuals who are homeless now because they weren't able to pay their rent during the pandemic. So this funding would help those individuals as well. Regardless of which thing they qualify, either one or two, they have to be income eligible, meaning they have to be at 80% AMI or lower. And our income limits are a little bit different than what you see at the county level. We use the income limits established by HUD under NAHASDA. And if anyone's interested, you can go to HUD.gov/ONAP, /code talk, and go to PIH guidance 2020-01. And it shows you the income limits for fiscal year 2021. And the only thing that's going to range as being different is if we have tribal members that are from Alaska, their income limits are going to be a little bit different. Another qualifier is that the individual has to be a member of one of Northern Circle's participating consortium tribes. So they have to be a member of one of the 6 that we applied for. This funding looks at rental payments and arrears, utility, and home energy costs arrears. And we also have written in our guidelines and our policy that if a household needed other rental costs, such as, say, one household has an elderly grandmother or mother living in the home, and this individual is working in the health field. So their risk of getting COVID is so much higher. They're risking that other individual in the household, right? The elder in the household. So potentially we could offer funds in order to transfer the elder to another unit and pay for that deposit so that they can be safe from COVID-19 and have safe housing. Next slide. And again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask anytime throughout the presentation. I did want to provide Northern Circle's program. Sorry?
I do have a question. You said that you
Yes.
that you work with 5 Mendocino County tribes, and we do have 11 federally recognized. So I'm just wondering if you could outline for us which of those 5 tribes you guys are working with or would be eligible.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have the Giddyville Indian Rancheria, Sherwood Valley Rancheria Band of Pomo Indians, Manchester Band of Pomo Indians, Hopland Band of Pomo Indians, and the 5th tribe, unfortunately, didn't apply under the consortium. Fortunately, they did apply on their own and they did receive funds. And that's the Redwood Valley Little River Band of Pomo Indians.
Thank you.
If anyone's interested, those are listed on our guidelines on our website. A little bit further in the presentation, I'll explain how to get there and where you can see a little bit more information about the program. Any other questions? Okay, excellent. So here's a little bit of a program timeline. So we received the funds on February 1st. We received an additional pot of funds. So we received just under 5.1 million in February 1st, and then received an additional 235,000 on February 10th. And our program actually went live in 18 days. So from the time that we received the funds to when we had an application, we had guidelines, had it on our website was 18 days. The second round of frequently asked questions were shared on the Department of Treasury's website on February 22nd. That was when we decided we really need a policy in place. The Treasury is going to want to see a policy. Our staff's going to really want to understand how to follow the procedure. So on February 22nd, our policy manual was approved by our Board of Commissioners. And then because of the success and the amount of movement we were making with our program, our partners at HCD reached out to us and said, hey, we would really love for you to participate and even co-host in an upcoming event. So Northern Circle co-hosted the tribal listening session specifically regarding the ERAP program. And that was on February 25th. So since then, we've updated our application portal on our website. I'll get to that shortly. We've hired 1 of 2 application intake specialists. And our most recent policy amendment was today. For those of you who are familiar with this funding opportunity, it's rapidly evolving. With every frequently asked questions that's being released, there's more clarity. There's another opportunity to fine tune the program. So what we're explaining to our staff, our consortium tribes and the tribal members is that this is a rapidly evolving program, and hang tight. So we've been up and running for about a month now, and we've been really successful. So we're really excited about it. Next slide.
Mariah, there's a little bit
Yes.
of rumbling in your mic. And just to circle back, the tribal listening session, Mariah, is very modest, but it was actually, we partnered with the state of California with the housing development entity. And one of the things that's happening at the state level is for the tribes that don't have the capacity to run their emergency rental assistance program through the Treasury funds, the state is looking for nonprofits or organizations to partner to actually run those programs for them. Here at Northern Circle, we believe in sovereignty and independence. And so we joined up on that session, really looking to promote keeping the tribal dollar within those entities or those tribes, and to truly empower those tribes on the policy creation, the portal creation, and all of the requirements, rather than put their dollar in an organization that's not going to know the nuances that it takes dealing with different membership requirements.
Exactly. Thank you so much. I hope that helps. I think the problem is that I move so much during a presentation that it's probably a little staticky, so I apologize for that. I'll try to stay still from now. If you could go to the next slide, that'd be awesome. So our application portal, you can visit it by going to nchj.org, ERAP-application. Our fiscal assistant, Rihanna Evie, is an absolute digital genius. She has taken on the task to use this third-party portal called Gravity Forms and put it onto our website. The really awesome thing about this is that applicants go to our Facebook or go to our website and they complete 14 prompts. And within those prompts, it tells you when to upload a document, when you can add a little bit more information into a section. There's even an opportunity for applicants to save and continue, so they can save where they're at, go get their documents, come back and continue right where they're left off. And what's even better is that regardless of if you're using it from your phone, laptop, iPad, once you've completed all 14 prompts, a PDF application is sent directly to our program specialist. There's no printing, there's no downloading, everything goes directly to our portal. Again, if you're interested, please visit our website, check it out. Please feel free to send us any comments on how we can improve, or if you want information on how to use Gravity Forms, we'll share the contact of our fiscal assistant, Digital Genius. Next slide. So here's some of our program highlights. Elizabeth touched on it, the listening session that we co-hosted with LISC and HCD was an absolute success. We've been providing technical assistance to other tribes and housing authorities in Northern California. We sent out our first round of checks within 2 weeks of going live with the program. And I must say, our staff is absolutely incredible. Through Elizabeth's leadership and the leadership from our Resident Services Department Manager, Christine De Los Santos, this program really has taken off, and we've been able to help a lot of individuals. Just to kind of give you a little bit more background on how awesome the Resident Services Department is, it's led by Christine De Los Santos. She's the manager. She has 2 program specialists and a housing inspector, and will soon have 2 application intake specialists. But their job in that department is to administer and monitor the property management, the tenant-based rental assistance program, the NAHASDA emergency rental assistance program, the Department of Treasury emergency rental assistance program, and we were, excuse me, we were recently awarded a housing and disability advocacy program through the Department of Social Services. So there's 5 to 6 programs that her small number of staff are executing, and they're doing a fabulous, fabulous job. Just in the last few weeks alone, they average 87 phone calls a day, and they're receiving anywhere from 18 to 36 applications amongst those 6 programs. And if I had any time to applaud them, it would be right now, because they're absolutely incredible. Next slide. So looking ahead, we're looking to hire 1 more application intake specialist. We have a listing on our Facebook page. It's on Indeed and also on our website. So if you have anyone in mind, please share the link. We're looking forward to a new frequently asked questions from the Department of Treasury. And we are happy to announce that HUD has released additional funds with the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, $1.24 billion for Native communities, which is super awesome because that consists of $450 million going towards the Indian Housing Block Grant, $280 million going to the Indian Community Development Block Grant, $5 million to the Native Hawaiian Housing Block Grant, and $10 million for technical assistance. So there's a lot of funds coming down for tribal communities. And one of the biggest things that we're looking forward to is that the Department of Treasury, with the American Rescue Plan, has announced that they have a homeowner assistance fund, $498 million to provide relief to struggling Native American homeowners. The nice thing is that since we already have our ERAP program for renters, it'll be an easy transition over to our homeownership program, where we just fine tune the specifics, and we're going to be able to execute that funding. So that kind of wraps it up for us. If you go to the next slide, we're just happy to answer your questions. If there are any, it was a lot of information to pack into a small segment.
So a big
hearing that.
It's a big challenge in our communities is that the Indian Housing Plan grants for the tribes that we serve only allow for a small amount of rental assistance. And with this program coming into play, we can actually serve outside of those tribes' service areas, which means at any point with the 6 different tribes that we're serving, we have a potential to serve 6,000 people, which is pretty heavy for us. And that's just an estimate because with this program, we can't capture all the potential eligible applicants until they actually apply. One thing that we'd like to see with our Mendocino County partners is equitable opportunities for these tribal members to become residents. You know, in this unsecure time with COVID and property owners struggling with non-payment and all of those other issues, it would be really nice to see partnerships because this is 12 months of rent. You know, you can have a secure tenant. And while they're on our program, there are community standards and requirements that are to be made. So it's at a little bit of an advantage if a property owner does decide to take on an ERAP client. And so we're appreciative of the time today and hoping that you will send referrals or families our way if you hear they're in need of housing. And thank you for your time.
I have a question for, I guess, Mariah and Elizabeth. I guess until just what Elizabeth just said, I thought this was for people who are currently housed and at risk of losing their housing. But am I understanding that you can use the rental assistance for somebody who will become newly housed as well?
Yeah, if they fit within the guidelines, like if they are still homeless or at risk of homelessness, or if they've been impacted due to COVID-19, there are ways that we can provide that subsidy to get them into a new house.
Okay, thank you. It's homeless prevention and rehousing kind of together. You're muted, Mariah. Sorry.
Primarily, it is going to be for the rent and utilities. But the most recent frequently asked questions allows us that flexibility to serve those individuals who need housing.
Okay.
We are going to prioritize the rent and the utilities, but we did want to offer that extra amount of flexibility for our tribal members.
Okay, thank you.
I want to let the membership know, it's not really a question, but the non-tribal ERAP program, as Elizabeth said, is looking for nonprofits and other partners to get the money out into our communities. But also our state partners have made it very clear that we cannot use any funding other than ERAP to pay for rental arrears from, I think it's either March or April 2020 to the end of the eviction moratorium. So if you are running a homeless prevention program, you cannot pay rent arrears. You can help them relocate to a new place if that prevents them from becoming homeless, but you can't catch them up to stay there. That has to go through ERAP.
Okay, Brian?
Yeah, and the date that you're talking about is March 13th, 2020. You can't go back further than that.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Brian, you had a question?
I was just clarifying that March date, but it's been spoken, so I'm good.
Okay.
So is this good for, the limit on it is for 1 year?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariah, for the presentation. It was very informative. I know that I sat through a couple of list conferences for the rental catch up for the other programs, and they're trying to get us to do it. Unfortunately, we weren't staffed enough to be able to do it. But I know there's other agencies that are working on it across the whole spectrum. So I'm sure it'll be very useful for everybody, especially in the tribal communities. Is there any other questions for Mariah or Elizabeth? Okay, not hearing any questions. We'll move on to the next.
And sorry, before we close out, I do have one more thing to say. with having another ERAP program going on for general public, it's really important through the Department of Treasury that we don't duplicate services. So whether the applicant is applying through the county or applying through Northern Circle, it's really important that we kind of have that open communication with our partners at the county to ensure that we're not duplicating services. So that's one of their sticklers with this funding. So we look forward to more communication with you all.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to an update from local jurisdictions. Karen or Megan, do you have an update from Mendocino County?
Dan, before we move on, I just wanted to announce that we had 3 more people join the meeting. QB Anthony, Amanda Archer, and Jacqueline Williams have joined the meeting. Carry on.
Karen or Megan, I don't know.
I'll let Karen go first if she has anything to share.
I think
I have a couple things.
Okay, I think the main thing that I have to share just has to do with the public service announcement that we are moving into the red tier, and so making sure that everyone is aware that that opens up abilities of some businesses in Mendocino County, and there's a press release on the website from Dr. Corin that really outlines what those are. I think that's probably the biggest news that I have to share.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
And I just have 2 quick updates. A quick update on Project Home Key and Live Oak Apartments. Rural Communities Housing Development Corporation, our CHDC, is on board as the facility manager, and that program agreement was approved by the Board of Supervisors last week. So we're super excited about that. We have done provisional approvals for 22 single individuals and 15 families. It's a total of 42 adults, 20 kids, and 3 pregnancies that are going to be provisionally approved for Project Home Key. We probably had over 200 applications. So it's pretty, there's an extreme demand for this kind of housing. We're excited about that. And the provisional acceptance letters are going out by email today to the case managers. So there's going to be some shuffling around as they confirm their interest in having one of the units. And so there could be some additional acceptances based on how that all shakes out. But right now, again, it's 62 people and 3 pregnancies that will be moving into that building in the beginning of April. A different topic, the county is working on some on-site vaccine clinics for the homeless next week. This is like rapidly moving, and I think the announcement about this was just a few minutes ago, so this may actually slightly be news to you, Sage. But the intention is to do a vaccine clinic at Plowshares and Building Bridges, and they're also reaching out to you, Jackie, to see if they could do one at Ford Street next Wednesday with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Jackie, they haven't called you yet. They're planning on calling you today.
Yep.
Yeah, to see if that's something that would be of interest. So once we know the dates and times for sure, we will get information out to individuals. The Ford Street site, we were not imagining would be public, so that one may not be on the flyer, but certainly for Plowshares and Building Bridges, if they're okay with it, we would be trying to publicize that within the homeless community to come and get the vaccine. And this is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, so it's a 1-dose vaccine. And again, that's probably going to be next Wednesday, but when I know for sure, we'll make sure you all have that information.
Hey, Megan, as we get to more kind of general distributions like that, the food bank might be another option.
Oh, okay. When you have a chance to talk with, I think somebody's going to try to call you today, Jackie. Feel free to share that.
Okay.
And that's all that I have.
All
Unless
right.
you have any questions for me.
Any questions for Megan or Karen? All right, no questions. We'll go on to the city Kai update. Noble or Shannon?
I don't have anything. I'll let Shannon speak.
Okay, I wasn't ready for that. Noble, thanks. No, the only thing that I will note is that the semi-annual Planning Commission public hearing regarding the Building Bridges facility is coming up, I want to say next week. I think it's next Wednesday. Sage probably knows. I can look it up quickly if anyone's interested. And this is just a semi-annual report where we check on the program manual compared to what's actually happening on site. Obviously, it's been a weird year, and public is invited to speak, and the Planning Commission just kind of here's the feedback from the past 6 months. So no anticipated surprises or anything like that. And I think that's all we have.
Thank you, Shannon. Is there any questions for Shannon? Okay, not seeing any questions. We'll move on to City of Fort Bragg. Is Tabitha or Sarah here? I don't see either one. Are they, Veronica? No? Okay.
No.
Okay, we'll move on to the standing committee reports. So the Strategic Planning Committee met last week on, I don't remember what day, but we met last week. We talked, as everybody knows, there's a ton of funding coming in to both the local jurisdictions, being the county and the COC. So as part of this meeting, we directed staff, Veronica and Megan, to put out 2 RFQs. And I'm gonna let Veronica kind of update on this because she has more of the details than I remember, so.
Do you want me to talk about this now, or do you want me to talk about it where I have it on the agenda under ESG funding?
We can just talk about it down at the ESG funding.
Okay.
So that's basically what we talked about in the meeting, and we will go into that in a little more detail in a while. So is Angelica here today?
I am here.
You have an update?
Can you hear me? Yeah, we're just going to have our Shelter and Solutions Committee meeting this Monday at 10 by Zoom. I will send out an agenda. And just real quick, because there's been all this talk about ERAP, today is supposed to be the launch of the state's COVID-19 rent relief program. So if folks are supposed to be able to apply today, but the application is still not up on the housingiskey.com website.
It'll be up at 5 o'clock. I just got
Of course. Okay.
I got an email from James Ding from HCD. So.
All right. So they help with past rent, future rent, and utilities.
The link to that website is also on the agenda.
Oh, perfect. Thanks. That's it.
Is there any questions for Angelica?
I totally might have missed it. Did you say that when the next meeting is coming up, Angelica?
Monday.
Next Monday?
2nd, I think that's the 22nd.
Yes.
7 to today. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sage, do you have an update on coordinated entry or discharge planning?
Sure. Coordinated Entry Discharge Planning Committee is going to get together in the next couple of weeks and do a working meeting because we need to do a policy manual update. So that's coming up. We need to bring it to I actually don't know if it's the full membership for approval or if it's just the board, but we'll check on that to make sure we get the appropriate people at the table to approve it. And then I just got a lovely email this morning about the VI SPDAT, which we've used in our coordinated entry system for years. The organization that created it and has been the one leading it is phasing it out of their toolkit and is requesting communities to identify an alternative ways of prioritizing and to sounds like stop using the VI SPDAT. So this is while our coordinated entry system is not currently using the VI SPNAT because we switched over to using COVID-19 risk factors, it is something that we're going to have to look at as we, as the coordinated entry committee makes recommendations about how to prioritize people for housing resources. So that, just want to give you guys all a heads up that that's something that the coordinated entry committee is going to be working on.
We should talk, Sage.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Sage. Do you have an update, Veronica, on the membership committee meeting? Or did we not have one?
I haven't had a meeting recently, but we're going to be looking at the board seats later on.
Okay.
And so we haven't had any new applications. We haven't met. So no update.
Okay. Brian, do you have an update on HIMS performance measurements?
Sure. The HMIS committee has begun formally meeting monthly again about a month ago. We definitely were on hiatus for a while during COVID. Last week, we looked at the draft version of the system performance report that we had to submit to HUD this month, and spotted one error, so we're going to update that with HUD. And once that's approved and vetted by HUD, we'll bring that back to the board. The system performance report looks at 7 measures. It's a really broad, big picture evaluation of the HMIS data and outcomes. We also reviewed our data quality performance, and it's measuring 2020 when we first started and transitioned over to Service Point to now 2021. We've got a year in on this new system. The data quality improvements have been tremendous over the last year. So we really just recognized all the great work that end users have been doing over the last year and getting better quality data in. And there's copies of last year and this year's reports attached to the packet. So we're really turning, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you guys look at the packet, there's 2 handouts. It's a total of 6 pages. They're 3 pages each. One is for February 2020 and one is for February 2021. So you can compare and contrast that. I don't know, maybe I stole your thunder, Brian.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and really looking at this, we've in the last year turned a really big corner. One of the cornerstones of HMIS is using it for data-driven decisions, for funding decisions, and using it for virtual case management. In the past, because our data quality was so poor, because end users are so disengaged, it's really sort of hard to do those things if no one trusts the data or wants to use the system. And in the last year, we've moved to a point where looking ahead, we can realistically use our HMIS to make data-driven decisions, to inform funding decisions, to decide what programs to expand or contract, and to use it as virtual case management. Not just have people putting in data because they have to, the funding requires it, but to actually use it for meaningful cross-agency communication to do virtual case management. So I'm really excited about the work we've done in the last year. The improvements are really, really tremendous. Our next meeting, we meet second Thursday of every month, so it's will be coming up in April.
Thanks, Brian. Any questions for Brian?
I just can't emphasize enough how much we've improved. We went from about 50 to 55%, 100% sure we have all of our data covered from last year. This year, we're over 90%. It's drastically improved. And I can't emphasize enough how important that is, as Brian said, for our data-informed decisions, which we can have accurate data now. It's not complete data, but it's accurate data.
Any questions for Brian? Jackie?
Not for Brian. I'm slow on the uptake today. I have a question for Angelica. Angelica, are you still here? Yes. So a couple of us attended the National Homelessness Conference. And one of the workshops that I attended, this was a virtual thing, Angelica, was on housing in LA County and how to address when the cost of a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, or when the reality of getting people housed means more shared housing. And there was a really good kind of workshop on working with landlords and convincing them that for a 2 bedroom apartment, they need to do 2 leases. So we don't get the problem with the one person leases the apartment, gets a roommate, the roommate flakes out, that person can't pay the whole thing, and everybody's homeless. So
I hate that.
Is that a solution you guys have looked at, or would you? I saved the presentation because I thought I should pass it on to all of us that are trying to work with landlords. But this was the best kind of, here's our data and here's why it really worked and why it really kept everybody housed. And I just think we could probably leverage it.
I agree. I totally agree in terms of separate leases for shared housing, because those can get really messy real quick.
And it sounded like the toughest part was convincing, the 1 or 2, and then the apartment manager started talking amongst themselves and realized that getting half your rent is better than getting none, or the whole turnover thing. So I'll send it to you.
And Jackie, I have an announcement later on in the meeting.
Oh, good.
About shared housing.
Okay, Veronica, do you want to give your ad hoc committee report for point in time?
Yeah, the committee, the ad hoc, hasn't met since last report. The 2020 is executive summary still needs to be written. I have feedback from one person, which I've recorded, and now we have a spot that we've begun collecting the feedback that we've received for the 2021 point in time count, instead of collecting them and reporting them to the committee that we then don't really know what to do with. We're instead collecting those as the home team, and then hopefully we can use them to inform maybe an executive summary for the 2020 and 2021 counts, since 2021 was only a sheltered because of COVID concerns. So they haven't met, but our sheltered count in January went really, really well. Since it's the full membership, I should share that we were able to use HMIS for the first time to leverage data on folks that are in our sheltered programs that use HMIS. So I can't speak for them, but hopefully it was a lot easier on our shelter programs, especially not having to collect the full gamut of data from folks twice, once when they come in and again then on January 29th. So we're really trying to prevent duplication of effort. One thing that we're going to have to start looking at soon is the possibility of using an app for our point in time count for 2022. It was recommended in the audit, and it's something that I have to start looking at, or we all have to start looking at. And that's my report for point in time count.
Thanks, Veronica. Is there any questions for Veronica on the point in time count? Megan? No? Okay. Not hearing. Veronica, do we have enough to do the next topic now?
Yes. Yes, we now have a quorum, as long as everybody who came in is still present.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the governance charter. As part of our strategic planning meeting last week, we did review these changes, and I'll let Veronica go over
them. Okay, so as I've reported before, we are revising our governance charter to reflect the information in the recently recovered HMIS governance charter. There were recommendations from a previous HUD-TA session that had been received by previous HHSA staff on how the HMIS governance charter could be improved. We followed that direction on improving the information that's there. And then we will, and then we took the remaining we took that information and then consolidated into the COC's governance charter. This was a recommendation by both HUD through our HMIS capacity building grant and our HUD-TA, to where all of the information on what the responsibilities of the full COC and the COC board be outlined more specifically to also include HMIS information direction. So we took that HMIS governance charter, embedded anything that wasn't already there in the COC's governance charter, and we really feel that this document addresses everything that needs to be for HMIS purposes. And nothing from the HMIS governance charter needed to go into the policies and procedures. So everything has been consolidated in what's being presented to you today. We added a cover page. We also added a brief overview, table of contents, and then terms and definitions, common terms and definitions. That was something that, well, we added the table of contents because we were making the document so much longer, so it would be more easily navigated. We added the overview because there really wasn't this is what this document is. It just went right into this, this is the governance charter and this is what it does. So it gives it a little more context. And then the terms and definitions were just some legal terms or unique to the COC world or realm that we thought would be helpful to you guys. On that same note, the last edition we did was commonly used acronyms. We added a chart at the very end of the charter. That's something that we've had multiple requests from board members and COC members in the past. So hopefully that will help you whenever you're especially learning this process and what those different acronyms are. As far as the HMIS governance charter embedded into this charter, there's 3 areas that we put the additions into. One is 4A1, responsibilities of the governing board to operate the COC. We added to section 4A2E, responsibilities of the governing board to operate the COC. I guess it was just those 2 sections. I thought it was 3. I was reading too many additions. So there's only 2 main meaty parts that got added to. In your packet, the first one that you see is what we're proposing to be the final document today. And then followed, there is the tracked changes of the original HMIS, the original COC governance charter with additions in blue. And subtractions are in red. If you go through that document, you'll notice that the only red are some formatting changes. We might have changed like ABC to I2, I3, things like that. So that was really the only thing that would be taken away. Otherwise, it was just additions made. Kirsty, did I miss anything? Kirsty was the one who spearheaded all of this, and I stole her thunder, and I should have let our team member, the person responsible for the work, present it. Kirsty?
No, I think you pretty much covered everything. I guess I would just add on to that we were able to keep it succinct. and not really expand too much page-wise, you will see in the governor's charter that we do reference the HMIS policies and procedures manual. And though we didn't add anything from the HMIS governance charter to the policies and procedures, we also didn't want to bog down the governance charter with information that you might not necessarily be looking for. However, if you do need to access that information, it will be in the newly updated sometime this month HMIS policies and procedures manual.
Any questions?
I just want to thank Kirsty and Veronica and whoever else worked on this. It might seem like a lot of tedious policy stuff, but there was a lot of work that went into this, and it's actually really important when we continue to navigate through and strengthen our HMIS systems.
I was just going to add my thanks also. It's the kind of work I hate to do, so I'm glad somebody else does it.
You just have to approve it.
I concur with Judy.
Or deny it. You can deny it too.
Okay. Is there any questions or comments for Veronica and the team? Okay, if not, we're going to need a motion. And this is a general membership motion, so anybody can make it to approve the changes in the governance charter.
I move to approve the changes of the governance charter.
Okay, Zinnia, is there a second for that motion?
I second it.
Sarah Martin. Any discussion? Veronica, roll call, please.
When I say your name, please say yes, no, or abstain to approve to the motion on the table. QB Anthony.
Abstain.
Thank you. It's good to see you. Lisa Judd.
Yes.
Jacqueline Williams.
Yes.
Sarah Martin.
Yes.
Grace Peeler.
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Xenia Levacho.
Yes.
Karen Lovato.
Yes.
Blythe Post.
Yes.
Amanda Archer, you still here?
Yes.
Thank you. Judy Albert.
Yes. Yes.
Sage Wolf.
Yes. Excuse me.
Dan McIntyre.
Yes.
Noble Wadelick. Wade.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Sandra.
Yes.
Elizabeth Elliott. Did Elizabeth? Oh, no, she's here. Elizabeth, what do you think? Yes, no, or abstain? We're going to mark abstention. Motion passed. Yay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Veronica. I'll let you do. How are we going to vote? Are we just voting by voice on this?
No, we're not voting on anything. So the next item is regarding board seats that are going to be vacant between now and the next meeting. So we're opening up nominations now for the board seats that are listed on the agenda. There's 8 or 9 of them.
So I would, Dan, did you have a comment, Dan or Jackie here?
No.
Okay, so some of these seats are like, there's really only one entity that could be, for example, the Public Housing Authority in Mendocino County. So I would recommend that those who are not feeling shy, go ahead and nominate yourself for those seats if you want or are interested in continuing. For the ones that, I mean, there's several here that are, there's only really 1 or 2 organizations that could fill that slot.
Okay, we'll just start at the top and move towards the bottom. So Paul,
Yes,
you have to nominate yourself.
I nominate myself.
We vote you in, Paul.
Well, we're not quite doing that yet. I'll take his nomination.
Just teasing.
Okay. So MCHC has nominated themselves for the Shelter Representative Coast seat.
Any other nominations for that seat? Not hearing or seeing any. I'm gonna go next. Lisa,
I will nominate myself for the Housing Authority seat.
any other nominations for Public Housing Authority? No. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one. Organizing for unoccupied, I can't read today, and transitional age youth.
Is that me, Dan? Or is that Blythe?
No,
That's you.
that's you.
It's you.
It's me? Okay, I nominate myself.
Okay, is there any other nominations for that seat? Hearing none, we're gonna move on to organizations addressing the needs of individuals with serious mental illnesses, Manzanita Services.
I nominate myself.
Any other nominations for that seat? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next one. Jackie,
I nominate myself. We'll arm wrestle with anybody else that wants this.
is there any other nominations for that seat? Hearing or seeing none, we're going to go to organizations addressing the needs of veterans.
I nominate myself.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Are there any nominations? No. All right, moving on to the next one. Sarah?
Actually, it's Grace.
Grace? Was Grace here?
Yeah, I nominate
Oh.
myself, McCavin,
Okay.
for organization addressing needs for people with HIV and AIDS.
You're hiding on my screen, Grace. I didn't see you.
All good. I wish I was hiding from Monday, so.
Yeah, me too. My Monday started Sunday night and it's continued. Okay, is there any other nominations for the seat under G? Okay, not seeing any. Organizations addressing domestic violence. Judy? Judy nominated herself.
I nominate myself to represent agencies representing domestic violence.
I've recorded all of those. I do want to let everybody know these nominations are open between now and the Monday prior to the next meeting. That would be, oh wait, I put it on here.
April 15th.
Until Monday, April 15th at 12 p.m. So if you would like to make additional nominations, if you know somebody who in the community who would want to be in one of these seats, but they're not a member, please have them reach out to Gary, who has the application. It's also available on the website, handout, not hand up, mendo.com. And if they place membership with the organization, they can, if they're eligible and they're accepted, then they can be nominated either by themselves or another organization for one of these available seats. I was thinking as we were going through, We actually do have 2 public housing authority or organizations within Mendocino County. We have the Community Development Commission and also the Northern Circle Indian Housing Authority. So there are 2 COC organizations that are eligible to be nominated for that seat. Elizabeth, if you are open to it, I'm willing to nominate you for that seat. If you are willing to accept the nomination, you have to accept it in order to be nominated. So Elizabeth, would you accept that nomination?
And if she's not able, she's also welcome to think about it, Veronica, if she wants to follow up with you too.
Yep. You don't have to say yes or no right now.
Yeah,
And
it's just,
I'm not really sure if you're at your desk right now because I don't see you or hear you, Elizabeth. If Elizabeth doesn't join us, then I will reach out separately and find out. But I did want to point that out.
thank you for that, Veronica. I appreciate that since I maybe spoke too soon. And I do want to just remind the board that in the past, not like a huge controversy, but this sort of nominating like situation had come under question. So we're going to try to really follow the process. Nominations will be closed April 15th. And I think I asked Veronica, and maybe we already did it, we may need to do a small press release about it as well to make sure that we fulfill our duty to give everybody the opportunity who wants to participate as a board member, the opportunity to think about whether they want to be nominated or not. But again, another situation, you have to be a member to be nominated. So I'm not expecting a huge amount of turnover in our board, but we want to make sure that we make it an open opportunity.
If there's nothing else, we'll move on to the funding section.
Dan, there actually was one more comment that I wanted to get feedback from on the board about the board seats. Currently, because we changed my seat basically from voting to non-voting, while there's 19 seats on the board, only 18 can vote. And that puts us at an even number. So if we were to have a split, even, it could potentially happen. It's never happened. It's never even come close, but something to think about. This board also, when I left in 2016, I recall there had previously been a seat available for organizations, for tribal organizations serving persons experiencing homelessness. And both HUD and the state of California are requiring, not just suggesting, they are requiring COCs begin or continue working on racial equity within our ESG, our HAP, all of our funding, and with our entire homeless system. We don't have any seats even available for persons of color or our Native American communities or anything like that. So I know in the past there wasn't much response from those communities. And so the board was like, why keep these seats open when they're never filled? But I think we're in a new world right now. And I think that this board really could make some major improvements with its membership by opening up seats for, different groups. Yeah, go ahead.
Veronica, I would like to make 2 suggestions if we do open up a seat for our potential Native American populations, which I think we should. We have 2 very active members. One is with our Redwood Valley tribe, and that's Chris Pikarski, and also Alice Langton Sloan is now an active ICWA representative up with Laytonville. And both of them I have seen at varying social services meetings, development of countywide MOUs, and both of them might be potential options for either of those seats.
So that was Chris Pikarski with Coyote Valley. And what was the other person? I'm sorry.
Alice Langton Sloan, and she is with the Laytonville tribe, Kati.
Picato, okay. Thank you.
Veronica, while you're writing that down, I did want to mention that the workshops I attended, the equity measuring came up multiple ways, multiple times. And I think you're right. I think we'll go through a transition, much like other transitions we've gone through with HUD, where it will be a suggestion, and then it will be bonus points, and then it will be a requirement. And how long that takes is kind of not determined now, but I think we're going to be held to account as a COC to measure and report that. And I think we're going to be given some time to evolve toward it, but I think it's the future.
So changing or adding to the board seats requires a change to our COC governance charter. We've already approved changes today. If the board wanted to, the board could identify some seats today, and they could be added to next month's agenda for approval for addition. We could also do it maybe May, and then approve the governance charter at the next full membership meeting. So I maybe some discussion on, could we come up with some today, or do we want to wait for another one? Do we want to have the strategic planning committee make some suggestions? There's lots of options here on how to move forward.
Right, and I don't think they're directing us to have positions. I think there's the direction is that this body, this board, needs to reflect the ethnic diversity of the people we serve. And so how we get there is going to be up to us.
So do you want to put it as a topic for next month's meeting, Veronica?
Yeah. Did anybody have a comment?
I just also wanted to put out there that Round Valley is our highest percentage of homeless children in Mendocino County across all 13 school districts. So if we're talking about a population of families served out there in Covelo, it's a very high percentage. So we may want to look strategically at that particular area versus inland or coastal.
Okay, I will add it to next. I'll add it to the agenda for the next month. It'll be a full membership meeting as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Do you want to go through the update on the multiple funding sources, Bella?
Yeah. I have no update for cash. For the ESG program, I don't have any updates on the balance of state. RCS or MCHC, you were the two applicants. Do you guys have any updates or anything you want to share about the balance of state? Okay.
Was it at the last meeting that we both got our award letters for the non-competitive?
Right.
And then RCS we got our award letter for the competitive allocation.
Yes.
Received the 200,000, I believe that's what we had applied for. I have to look at the award letter for shelter.
Yes, and I believe MCHC, Paul, were you able to confirm that your application did not go through? I still haven't seen anything online. Okay, that's my suspicion, but I haven't been able to confirm it. For the CARES Act funding, I have contracts in place. I know at least several of them have gone before the Board of Supervisors now. I don't have any new contracts since last report, and the Strategic Planning Committee has directed have released 2 RFQs. We were going to do 1, And when I completed the list of potential activities that could be provided, there was really two types. There was one that was direct services and another list of about 4 or 5 activities that were more like administrative or support, professional services. So there was direct services and then professional services. So we're going to split it into 2 RFPs because there's a different audience for providing services as opposed to like providing strategic support. So I'll be working on the services RFQ first to get that out because that's our most important thing, is to get services out to our folks. And then I'll be moving towards recruiting for professional services. The RFQ will be open to anyone, anywhere interested in providing homeless services to persons in Mendocino County. And we're not tying it to any specific funding source. So it's not just for ESGCV. It's going to be for that. It's going to be for HAP. It's going to be for future funding through the American Recovery Act plan. Yeah, American Recovery Plan that Biden just recently approved, so that we can get the funding out for that. So that way we can get these organizations approved by HHSA contracts to, and that way we can just start pumping out the contracts as the COC direct, or we all agree and strategically move forward with. And that's my update on ESG. Any questions on that one or the RFQ?
And not seeing any questions, go ahead and move on to the HAP.
Our application has been received. No, our round 1 application has been approved. And I've been able to print off the standard agreement and get it out to our to council and folks to sign it. I, since writing this up, got an email, 2 emails, one for the county and one for the COC HAP, that they have some clarifications on the grant application that I need to work on. I have a few more weeks to work on that. So that'll be going through. As soon as they have their clarifying information, they can start doing the standard agreement process and getting the contract in place. Any questions on HAP? I have no updates on FUP, the COC program, but the HMIS capacity building grant, we learned last week, I got an email from HUD saying that they understand that the pandemic has greatly impacted our ability to do the work. And they've given us a 1-year extension. So our deadline of September 30th, 2021 has been extended to 2022. So we'll be able to get all of that work done and we're very excited. We'll be able to utilize the full amount for Kirsty's position, not just 1 year of her being on the team. So we're really excited about that. And that's all my funding updates.
Okay, is there any questions on funding? Okay, not seeing any questions. We're going to move on to projects. Is there any projects anybody wants to talk about? Sage, do you want to give an update on the cleanup that you guys did this weekend?
Building Bridges is doing a monthly neighborhood cleanup. I should clarify that and say, give credit to my staff who go around on a daily basis with guests and clean up around the neighborhood in a general way. That's a daily part of our practice. But once a month, we advertise and ask for volunteers to come and join us with doing a really targeted cleanup. Spend about an hour to an hour and a half going all around South State Street, Thomas Street, which is the street right next to Building Bridges, and around the back part of the property, and I can't remember what that street's called, and then up Talmadge and across the street on Talmadge by what is that gas station on? Not Chevron, across from Chevron. Anyway, so going all over there. So we had an event this last Saturday, and had a good turnout of volunteers and guests, and got quite a bit of stuff picked up. So that always feels good. We do them every month on the second Saturday of the month. They have been scheduled from 9 to 11, but I think that what we're finding is that we're able to do it in about an hour. And so we're looking at either just doing it from 9 to 10 or doing it from 10 to 11, probably from 10 to 11. But we'll be putting out an updated flyer for April's event.
Thanks, Sage. Is there any other announcements?
I have one. The state of California, through the Homeless Counseling and Financing Council Community, I don't know, HCFC, they are doing their third cohort for a 100-day challenge. And I've applied and been accepted for Mendocino County. So I will be spearheading a 100-day challenge to start with our Project Room Key folks. A lot of those guests are able to move into Project Home Key, or the former Best Western Live Oak Apartments, but about half of them are not, and we're having to come up with another game plan. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to not only work with those folks on identifying housing for them, but that this would be a really great opportunity to start working on creating a shared housing model for Mendocino County. We have been, I was connected with a technical assistance provider called Rapid Results, who actually has experience with Mendocino County. They did a 100-day challenge to house youth when I think it was one of the last things that Maya did before she moved on. And so they're really familiar with it. The project lead is actually the same one that was on it before and knows Sage by first name. So I'm going to be working on that. It just coincides with so many other goals and objectives that our COC has, and we really need shared housing in this community. But it brings me to my point that I cannot do this alone. This is not something that is done with one person and gets directed and the community does what this team says. I need people to be part of this team, learning the shared housing model, figuring out how in their organization they can make that work, because we've proven over and over again that we don't have enough housing stock. And so we've got to get creative in how we use what we have. So it's going to start where I will be having a meeting. I'd like to hold it at the end of this month with 5 or 6 county and city leaders. Dan, Jackie, I'd like to invite one or both of you to represent the COC and get people from those jurisdictions to buy in and commit to agreeing that, yes, these are the things that we need. So that way, if we have a permitting issue, then we can go to the city and already have a relationship set up. And so our strategic plan talks about engaging our city and county leadership more. And that's what this 100-day challenge starts with. And so I'll be reaching out to more people about how we can do this, but it's drastically needed in our community. And I have this opportunity that fell in my lap, and I think we should do it. That's all.
Hey, besides being rewarded in heaven, What do we do doing it?
You will get technical assistance from Rapid Results.
Okay.
You will be able to be on the team and be part of how to design this model. If you want help on how to implement it in your organization, this is the opportunity. And also, you might not be a housing organization. You might be a mental health service provider. Well, you need this model for your folks, your clients to utilize. So even if it's not your organization doing this project, we still need your input because it needs to meet the needs of your clients as well. If you're not there, they're not represented.
All right, thank you, Veronica. Any questions for Veronica on that? I not seeing any questions or any other announcements. The next meeting will be April 19th. Oh, Q.
Dan, I actually have one announcement.
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, because of not only personal issues as well as issues with the COC for on some accounts, I'm actually permanently resigning my seat on the board as well as my membership, effective immediately.
Thank you, Q, for taking the time to be here and to share that with us all. Sorry to see you go.
Thank you, Q, for all your work on our strategic plan, and your input has always been so valuable to this team. And it's going to be hard to not have you here, but you know, it will be good in moving forward. If you have anybody in mind, I know at previous meetings you tried to help us recruit folks from your side, and so I think that would be really helpful for us in moving forward to have that really good, strong voice at the table, and you definitely were that for this team.
Appreciate it. Sage, on that request, I think that you have a couple of individuals at the shelter that may need convincing, but you also know the ones I hung out with at the time. That may be the perfect fit for the council.
Reach out to me, okay? Or I'll reach out to you. Let's connect and love to chat.
Cool, Gaines. Well done.
Thanks, Q.
On the bureaucratic side of that, which I hate, but that's why I'm here, that's my job. Should we add that seat to the ones that are open for nominating?
Yes.
Okay, so if anyone has any nominations for the seat for person currently or formerly experiencing homelessness, please let me know.
Okay, thank you, Veronica.
You're welcome.
So if there's nothing else, the next meeting is, if I find my agenda here, the 19th of April, which will be another full membership meeting. So, okay, thank you everybody for coming.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.